Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and yes, welcome to Pinocchio Week. So throughout this week, I'll of course be reviewing, a handful of Pinocchio films in celebration and leading up to when the live-action Pinocchio film is released. Yes, and of course, yeah, there's other Pinocchio videos that I've been doing, and so yeah, technically, yeah, the Pinocchio week it started yesterday, as you guys know. So, all right, but anyways, so yes, of course, have to start off with none other than I don't see why not. Many people consider this the best film version of Pinocchio, and that being, of course, definitely one of Disney's gems, one of the best animated films, and even animation fans consider this the best animated film. Pinocchio from 1940, Disney's animated feature film. So yes, Pinocchio. What is there to say about Pinocchio? It's amazing, and Walt Disney managed to strike lightning twice. Just struck lightning twice. And, another thing is, the animators, their goal was to put it this, make Pinocchio better than Snow White. And they definitely did it. They did it. They for sure did it. And, of course, Snow White being the first animated film, and Pinocchio was the second. I think, yeah, because, I guess for one thing, when looking at the animation of Pinocchio and Snow White, yeah, because I do recall I heard that, like Snow White was considered like a almost a 1 hour silly symphony, but it's still a feature film, there's nothing wrong with that. But, yeah, but especially with Pinocchio, the animation really shows, how much this took, and, yeah. And of course, Pinocchio, the story of Pinocchio, based on, the story by, Carlo Collodi. I think I said that name right. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so, and basically, yeah, because the book of Pinocchio, it's very different than like, say, the animated Pinocchio film that we know. For one thing, Pinocchio in the original story was basically, pardon my French, a douchebag, 'cause, yeah. But yeah, this Pinocchio and this, obviously, way different, But basically, this Pinocchio, Disney's Pinocchio, he had a lot to learn, of temptation and, going to school and so on. But all right, so the story of Pinocchio. So, of course, well, first off, the way that the movie opens, like any classic Disney film, back in the, classic Disney films, I should say, and of course, one of the most beloved Disney songs of all time, and it would basically become the Disney national anthem, and that being, of course, When You Wish Upon a Star, sung by Jiminy Cricket and the chorus. Yeah, it's such a beautiful and heartwarming song. And of course, Jiminy Cricket at the beginning just doing a little bit of narration. Okay, so the story, of course, a living puppet with the help of a cricket, as his conscience, yeah, must prove himself worthy to become a real boy. So yeah, there's the story for you. And yeah, because Jiminy Cricket at first, he's kind of like a homeless cricket, and he goes into Geppetto's office. He discovers Pinocchio. He was being finished, being made. And we see, of course, Geppetto being voiced by Christian Rubb, if I'm saying that right. Fun fact about this guy, well, he was also the reference model of Geppetto. Looking at the photos of him as the reference model, oh my gosh, it's Disney Geppetto in real life, basically. But another thing is, apparently he was a Nazi enthusiast. So that's interesting. And he would tell the Disney animators a lot about Hitler or something. That's. I think, yeah, I'm about right. So, and also, of course, we have Figaro and Cleo. And fun fact, Figaro the cat would become one of Walt Disney's favorite characters, and Figaro would, continue on appearing some more and would become Minnie's pet. So yeah, I remember that very well. Figaro making an appearance, like, say, in like the like old Disney cartoons with Minnie or Pluto, or say, Mouse Works and Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. So yeah, a little dance number going on, and right before bed, Geppetto wishes, starlight, star bright, I wish that my Pinocchio would be a real boy. And that one sequence where Jiminy can't go to sleep with all the clocks running. All the clocks, like, in his house, Geppetto's house, pretty cool and amazing. Like, oh gosh, like, one clock of this drunk guy, or say, trying to chop a turkey's head, or like a mother spanking a child's bum, Oh, man. But, yeah. And especially because when not only are the clocks going off, but Jiminy hears, Geppetto and Cleo snoring. Jiminy's had enough. Quiet! After all, enough's enough. Yeah, and of course that's when the Blue Fairy comes in. Who voiced the Blue Fairy? That's... yeah, well, okay, the Blue Fairy, she comes in, she's not listed in here. Well, that's weird. But anyways, the Blue Fairy comes in and makes Pinocchio come to life, although Pinocchio's not a real boy yet, and Jiminy becomes Pinocchio's efficient conscience. And another song number, and that is Give a Little Whistle. Yeah, that. And always let your conscience be your guide. Geppetto being awoken, and, he sees Pinocchio alive, a little dance number going on, even when Pinocchio at one point plays with fire. And that's when, Geppetto tells Pinocchio, before they go to sleep, that tomorrow will be his first day of school, and thus the next day, Pinocchio is on his way to school. And that's when we get the introduction. These are two of my favorite characters, and some of my favorite Disney villains, Honest John and Gideon the cat. Yeah, and Honest John being a fox. And Honest John, of course, being voiced by Walter Catlett, and Gideon voiced by none other than the man with 1,000 voices, the legendary Mel Blanc. Oh, yes, Gideon does not speak. They basically, Mel Blanc was originally going to voice Gideon, but, they decided that to just have Gideon be a mute character. But the only thing that remains of Mel Blanc being the voice of Gideon is when Gideon hiccuped. See, and when he was drinking beer, and yeah, he hiccups a few times. So, well, at least, we still hear a bit of Mel Blanc's voice in there, when he hiccups. And so, of course, Honest John and Gideon, they're strolling along and, seeing the children off, their way to school, and they see the poster of Stromboli. He's arrived in town again, and they see Pinocchio, as Pinocchio walks by them, and Honest John and Gideon have a plan, and they will, sell Pinocchio to Stromboli for a fortune. So, and of course, another great song number, and from Honest John / J. Foulfellow, J. Worthington Foulfellow. Yeah, that's how you say the name. Yeah, J. Worthington Foulfellow. I'm looking at it on the tablet too. On the IMDb page. So another great song number. Hi diddly dee, an actor's life for me. A heist a cat of a silver cane, a watch a gold with a diamond chain. Hi diddly dee, an actor's life is gay. It's great to be a celebrity, an actor's life for me. So there's that, and hold your applause. And of course, the funny scene when Jiminy's trying to get Honest John's attention. Well, I think all three of them their attention. Gideon is, well, aside from Pinocchio, Gideon is the only one that sees Jiminy Cricket. Neither say Honest John, and Gideon accidentally hitting Honest John on the hat, and his hat is stuck. Get me out of here! But then, of course, even when Jiminy tells him that, that Honest John is, temptation and so on, and, you've got to go to school. That's when, of course, when Pinocchio is supposed to tell them that he can't go with them, goodbye, Jiminy. He goes with them still. And that's when we cut to hours later at nighttime for some reason. And of course, Stromboli. Stromboli, like, oh crap. Stromboli being voiced by, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I hate it when this does it sometimes. Yeah, Stromboli, yeah, because we see Stromboli in the one and only Pinocchio. Yeah, of course, another great song number, I've Got No Strings on Me, and, let me see, Russian marionettes singing, and, can girls, dancing as well. And that gets Jiminy's attention, because, well, he makes his way to the show, kind of a bit pissed off at Pinocchio. Go ahead, make a fool of yourself. Then maybe you'll listen to your conscience. Okay, yeah, Stromboli being voiced by Charles Judels? Is that how you say his last name? I'm pretty sure. Then comes, Russian marionettes, and apparently Walt Disney... Okay, because pretty much all the actors in this, even at the time of the early Disney films, the cast were uncredited. Walt Disney did a voice, and he was the voice of the wooden Russian soldiers that, and go, hey! So that's all that Walt ever, that was Walt's only line, hey! And, yeah, and of course Jiminy just, feels, I wouldn't say betrayed, but, just feels left out and just feels useless. And, what does an actor need with a conscience? Yeah, what does an actor, not need, they should, actors should have a conscience, but, you get my point. Oh, yeah, and I forgot to mention, I'm sorry, but, of course, Pinocchio, of course, being voiced by the late Dickie Jones. Yeah, because young Dickie Jones, when he was the voice, him being the voice of Pinocchio, what he brought to Pinocchio, just amazing. Yeah, definitely. And of course, Stromboli locks up Pinocchio, even say from Pinocchio going to see his father, and, this will be your home now, and, we will travel the world, and when you grow old, I'll use you for firewood. Yeah. And, of course, Jiminy, at first, he goes to congratulate Pinocchio, but then, of course, he sees that, well, Pinocchio is in trouble, and even Jiminy Cricket trying to unlock the lock, but, because it's an old lock, he can't. But that's when, of course, oh, yeah, and by the way, Geppetto, growing concern about Pinocchio, because he hasn't come back home yet, and, of course, yeah, Geppetto trying to find Pinocchio, and the fact that Stromboli and his coach, they literally pass by Geppetto. Even Geppetto doesn't even know that Pinocchio's in there. And of course, the Blue Fairy does show up to, and wonders why Pinocchio hadn't gone to school. Pinocchio starts to lie, and okay, the Blue Fairy being voiced by Evelyn Venable? I think I got that right, yeah. Evelyn Venable. So Pinocchio starts to lie to the Blue Fairy, and each time he lies, his nose starts to grow, even, say, causing a bird's nest to be there as well. And so, he hadn't been telling the truth, and, I guess, well, sometimes you're afraid to tell the truth. That's true. And so, of course, Pinocchio, he does get help by the Blue Fairy, and one more time, and that's when they escape Stromboli's coach, and God, even Pinocchio didn't get the idea of keeping it quiet, because, you know, he literally shouting, "Goodbye, Mr. Stromboli," literally. Of course, they're running their way back to, you know, Geppetto's house, and that's when we cut to Red Lobster Inn. Because Red Lobster Inn, and we once again see Honest John and, you know, Gideon and Honest John singing An Actor's Life for Me again, and for the Coachman, and this is where we get the introduction of the Coachman, and the Coachman also being voiced by, you know, Stromboli, Charles Joodles. So Charles Joodles voices both Stromboli and the Coachman, and he does it so well, just, you know, for when he, you know, voicing Stromboli and the Coachman, and the Coachman being quite scary, you know, and telling them, you know, "How would you blokes like to make some real money? And I'm collecting stupid little boys." And, you know, taking them to Pleasure Island, and even Honest John, like, kind of shocked, you know, "Pleasure Island? But the law, suppose they..." And no, there's no chance, I want to say. Yeah, I think that's what he says, you know. No, risk. There's no risk. I almost forgot, you know. And then, of course, the infamous shot, you know, "They never come back as boys." That shot, up close, and, like, his face turns red, you know. Gosh, that's, like, one of the most infamous, like, scary shots in Pinocchio. And it shows how scary and, like, and the psycho the Coachman is. You know, even, like, say, Honest John and Gideon being terrified of him, and they should be. And that's when, well, you know, they are, of course, still doing this, you know, retrieving Pinocchio, and that's, yeah, because they meet up with Pinocchio again, and, you know, once again lie to him, and, you know, telling him that he's allergic, and, of course, they send him off to Pleasure Island to the Coachman, and, well, that's the last we see of Honest John and Gideon. And, of course, we see that Pinocchio, on his way to Pleasure Island, he meets up with Lampwick, and Lampwick being voiced by Frankie Darro. Yeah, I said that right. And, of course, Pleasure Island, you know, kids just doing whatever the heck they want, breaking things and getting candy and so on, and the rough house. It's the rough house. Smoking cigars, drinking beer, playing pool, you name it. And a couple hours later, it's like a graveyard, as Jiminy points out. Basically, all that we see on Pleasure Island, you know, the only two that we see are Pinocchio and Lampwick. They're playing pool, Jiminy confronting Pinocchio, Lampwick, you know, interacting and seeing Jiminy Cricket, kind of taunting him or making fun of him, and Jiminy has had the last straw, and, you know, of course, you know, one of the only Disney films where the characters say, you know, "Make a jackass out of yourself." Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's what donkeys are also referred to, jackasses. So, yeah, a donkey is an ass. So, yeah. But anyways, and so, Jiminy about to leave, and he sees a bunch of donkeys being, you know, put in cargo and being transferred, and we do find out it's the boys. It's the stupid little boys, as the Coachman called them. They were transformed into donkeys. And, you know, "Quiet! You boys have had your fun, now pay for it." Jiminy just running back to warn Pinocchio, and then it starts happening on Lampwick. He then turns into a donkey, another disturbing and scary sequence too, and even Pinocchio turns into a donkey a little bit, just getting the ears and the tail. Pinocchio and Jiminy, they escape Pleasure Island, and they make their way back to the village, and originally, right after they escaped and when they were making their way back to Geppetto's house, originally, there was going to be a sequence where they would run into Honest John and Gideon one more time. And when they run into them, well, of course, Honest John and Gideon pursue them, and when they're pursuing Pinocchio and Jiminy, they instead run into the police, and thus Honest John and Gideon, they are arrested. So, had that been in the final film, well, we would have seen the fox and cat be defeated, you know? I would kind of say that, well, Stromboli kind of got defeated as well, because, well, Pinocchio, he escaped. So, there you go. But nope, in the final film, Honest John and Gideon get away with their misdeeds. So, and that's it, you know, that's it for them in the movie, and yeah. But anyways, so, and, well, even say the coachman as well got away with his misdeeds too. And I gotta say, the coachman's henchmen, like these furry black, whatever the heck they are, does anybody know what they're supposed to be? They are disturbing too, very creepy. I don't see why wouldn't they be? That's the thing. Of course, when Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket, they make their way back to Geppetto's house, they see that it's just totally deserted, you know, dusty and cobwebs. And surprisingly, the blue fairy sent like a, pellet seagull or something. They drops them a letter and, to inform Pinocchio and Jiminy that Geppetto was swallowed by Monstro, the whale. I should also say, I should say Geppetto, Figaro, and Cleo, all three of them being swallowed by Monstro the whale. Jiminy Cricket is familiar with Monstro, but Pinocchio doesn't care. He has to get to his father, and that's sweet of him. And of course, Pinocchio tying a rock to him so it could keep him, from floating. And that whole sequence where they're underwater, amazing. Even still to this day, when you look at the underwater shots, it's pretty amazing, aside from the bubbles, just the way that you see the water it's amazing. Even say when Pinocchio and Jiminy ask the fish about Monstro, oh, they know Monstro, they run for the hill. We, of course, see Monstro, and we go inside Monstro. Geppetto, Figaro, and Cleo, they are starving to death, and, oh gosh, not only do I remember the deleted sequence of the fox and cat's defeat, but there was a deleted scene where, well, it seems as though that Geppetto and Figaro, they were almost considering eating Cleo. But of course, Geppetto snaps out of it, and, shame on me, and you too, Figaro. God, that was dark. I remember telling that to my mom, and I think she was kind of shocked about that. Who wouldn't be? It's a good thing that it wasn't in the final film. Good thing, yeah, thank God for that. And of course, we see that some fish, what kind of fish? Are they salmon? I think tuna or salmon, I can't remember. No, I'd say tuna fish, yeah. They're swimming, and Monstro does see them coming, and yeah, Monstro is smart, he sees them and fall, pretend to be asleep, and, surprise, he opens his eye, the fish are terrified. You could just imagine, because Monstro being this enormous and scary whale, I'm telling you. And, of course, Pinocchio does come face-to-face with Monstro being swallowed, except for Jiminy Cricket, open up there, I gotta get in there. Geppetto and Pinocchio are reunited, and yeah, the same goes for Figaro and Cleo. Geppetto discovering and seeing that Pinocchio is half donkey. But then, of course, a little bit later, because Pinocchio has a plan to make Monstro sneeze, and that infamous sequence, one of the best sequences of the film, I should say, even Mark Silverman, the voice of Rod Serling of The Tower of Terror, because it's one of his favorite Disney films, Pinocchio, I remember because I have interacted with him before, and you know what? He said a lot about the Monstro sequence. So yeah, and shout out to Mark Silverman. He is, I've seen him on YouTube, and if he's watching this, But anyways, so yeah, because it's just amazing, the Monstro sequence, the water, even Ollie John. One of Walt's 9 old men, Ollie Johnson, said, was talking about the Monstro sequence and how the water looked realistic, like it was like it was actually real or something, like, you know, looked like you could drown. You get my point. Gosh, and I don't know, I feel like it's mutual. Like, some say that Monstro is a villain, and, you know, I think he probably could be, because, you know, for one thing, he was trying to kill Pinocchio and Geppetto. He was chasing them. He hit his tail right on top of them. Look out! And he was trying to murder them. And even say when Pinocchio was holding on to his father, Geppetto kind of unconscious. Save yourself. Swim for shore. Pinocchio would not give up on his father, and, was swimming to a rock hole, and even Monstro just charging and, like, lunging at them and hitting the rocks. Oh, gosh. And, I guess that's, in a way, Monstro's defeat. And we see that Pinocchio, Geppetto, and somehow, Figaro and Cleo, they survived, and so did Jiminy. The little characters, they survived. Good for them. Them and Geppetto, they survived, but except for Pinocchio. I think at that point he was killed, but that's when a little, like, funeral is happening. All of them are upset. We hear the blue fairy's voice, prove yourself loyal, trustworthy, and someday you will be a real boy. Wake, Pinocchio, wake. And thus, Pinocchio becomes a real boy, finally and at long last. And of course, everybody's happy to see that he's alive and is now a real boy. And Jiminy Cricket getting the last bit of dialogue and interacting with the blue fairy. And earlier in the film, I almost forgot to mention this, that, he thought he would get a badge, and, blue fairy was like, well, we'll see. And then finally, at the end of the film, and when Pinocchio's a real boy, Jiminy does receive a badge, of being a conscience. And yeah, that shot where he's just, and we could see Jiminy's belly button. I just felt like mentioning that, it's funny. And of course, one more rendition of, well, the finishing lyrics of When You Wish Upon a Star. What a way to end that film, just, yeah. But yet, it's just crazy to think, because, well, most of the bad guys just get away with their misdeeds. Only say, well, not all of them, only say Honest John, Gideon, and the coachman. Yeah, definitely the coachman. Ugh. But yeah. But with all that being said, I definitely give Pinocchio a 10 out of 10. What about you guys? Like, what do you think of Pinocchio? What are your fond memories of watching this film? What did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review a like as always. And yep, the Pinocchio week is still continuing. So yep, with that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of the Disney animated feature Pinocchio, and if not, one of Disney's gems. Definitely. More reviews coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. And stay tuned later tonight, because, the next Pinocchio film that I'll be reviewing is another one that is animated. And I'll go ahead and say it. Let's just say, well, two things. It tries to act like a sequel to Disney's Pinocchio, and it's done by Filmation. I'm sure some of you might know what I'm talking about, but if you don't, for those of you that don't, just stay tuned for that. Take care, and peace out. And always wish upon a star. Your dreams will come true.